คนสุดท้ายของช่วงแรกนะครับเป็นคนสุดท้ายของช่วงแรกนี่ก่อนที่เราจะเบรกกันนะครับผมอยากจะขอเรียนเชิญคุณอิซาเบลมาคาเชบนะครับในหัวข้อที่ชื่อว่า You can end human trafficking with education นะครับเป็นอีกหัวข้อหนึ่งที่เกี่ยวข้องกับการศึกษาครับ Contestant number 7 the last person of this first round Ms. Isabel Makacheb with the topic again about education. The topic is you can end human trafficking with education. Please welcome Ms. Isabel, sorry.
I hate giving speeches. Really, I do. You would too if you had to deliver a speech on a topic that you know your audience rarely talk about. I did not know how to begin writing my piece on human trafficking, but then I thought, everybody loves stories. I shall begin with a story. Once upon a time, there was a mother. Let's call her Magda. In 1993, her womanizer and batterer of a husband left her and abandoned their 2 children. Magda was a college dropout. What she earned working in a beauty salon was just enough for her family to survive. But Magda wanted to give her kids the chance to a bright future, so she flew to the Middle East to work as a domestic helper for a family in UAE. When she arrived there, however, her spirit was crushed upon finding herself in this unfortunate plight we now call modern slavery. Magda was forced to work 24/7 without pay. She would be locked up to avoid contact with her agency and embassy. She was given no food and was beaten whenever she resisted to the commands of her pseudo-employers. There was no blanket to warm her at night, but thoughts of being rescued one day and reuniting with her 2 daughters gave her strength. Magda's story is just one of the 27 million stories of trafficked persons, even children, who are confronted with forced sex and labor, inhumane treatments, unlawful withholding of passports and other documents, extremely dangerous situations, poor living conditions, and psychological trauma. Trafficking is an organized economic crime aided by people, companies, and sadly sometimes public offices of wealth, influence, authority, and power. How can we end this? Is education the key to end this? Yes, I believe that we must continually raise awareness and educate people on the perils of modern slavery. When people are educated in this, they start looking for signs. Thus, they can prevent it before it happens to them. But I am talking about the kind of education that will uplift the sense of responsibility and mentality of people to become prime movers against trafficking, instead of becoming mere receivers of information. But you may ask, where do ordinary people, like us university students, come in? There are a lot of organizations working to combat human trafficking. Be part of them. By becoming involved, we do not only raise awareness and empower people through education, but we also create participative communities that will push for greater clamor for governments to formulate and implement stringent protection laws for migrant workers and heavier penalties for traffickers, and please include their customers. Our combined force will also pressure governments to provide their people with greater economic and educational opportunities in their own countries. When we commit ourselves to this fight, however, we should be open to the fact that many will choose not to listen, and the world will not instantaneously change. But carry on, because the world needs the hard-hitting passion and energy of young activists like us. The task is complicated, but we have education, a very powerful tool against almost anything. Almost every problem in the world can be solved with education. The task is difficult, but there's always hope. Speaking of hope, how did Magda's story end? With the help of good-hearted people from various NGOs and the Philippine government itself, she was found and able to come home in the year 1995. But when she was found, she was pregnant. I need not tell you why or how that happened. She gave birth to her 3rd and youngest daughter the following year. And thankfully, recovery came faster than expected. I guess I could say that her version of a happily ever after is in progress. In fact, why don't I show you a picture of Magda with one of her daughters? I still hate giving speeches, but I love telling stories, true stories. This is my mother's story. Thank you.